You're listening to Wanted with me, Henry Scott Irvine, and we're live here with Simon Boswell, music composer of many, many interesting films. And what was that called?
Well, that's called Vampires on the Close Your Eyes album.
And how can we get a hold of that?
Well, the CD is available on my website, on simonboswell.com, in the shop there. You can buy it now.
Fantastic. So tell me, because it's an interesting beginning. You're on tour with Blondie, this gig that I went to, which I can't believe. And in London, I mean, are you London born and bred? Are you a London person?
Yes, I am.
And you were very much part of the Deptford scene. So that was interesting to me because of Squeeze, of course. And tell me about people you knew.
Well,
then.
it was interesting. I mean, shortly, just after, I guess, that Blondie tour and after advertising had been around for a year or two, predictably we had slid at that point to the bottom of the wall in terms of getting very much nowhere. So we were dropped by EMI, and we kind of gave up. It coincided with me being thrown out of a flat I was living in, not for bad behaviour because the lease was up, but I'd met the woman who then became my wife, and we were together for 20 years. We're not married anymore, but she lived in Deptford, and so I sort of moved in with her, and we spent 7 years down in Deptford. And as I moved in, Chris, I forget his second name now, Chris Difford moved out. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Tell me how you made this transition into doing music for films. I first became aware of you through Shallow Grave, the Danny Boyle film, which was shown and I think opened the Edinburgh International Film Festival that year. Is it something I look at I heard about how they did the music for Don't Look Now, Pino Donaggio, and the Italians. You've worked on a lot of Italian films. Yes. I believe that... I'm just trying to... when you did Phenomena, you did that in Italy, in situ, in the very old-fashioned way. At Cinecittà, was it?
It wasn't in Cinecittà, no. It was in a studio in Rome, though. I mean, I should just backtrack a little bit. I mean, after advertising kind of fell apart, I became a record producer, producing a lot of other bands, from the early 80s onwards, one of whom was an A&M act called Livewire, who were sort of very much considered to be in a Dire Straits mould, but without a hit. Story of my life. But anyway, I produced them, but also went on tour with them. And whilst I was in Rome performing there, I was approached by RCA Records to produce some Italian singer-songwriters and pop stars, which is what I did. I spent a few years there, during the course of which I met Dario Argento kind of socially in Rome, who asked me if I would work with the band that he had used previously called Goblin.
Right.
So my first days working on film were with the two remaining guys from Goblin. And I mean, it started this career which I had not planned at all. I mean, I'm not knowledgeable about film music. I had no intention of being a film composer. I was just asked to do it.
Accidental opportunity.
Very much so. I mean, it's the John Lennon quote, life's what happens to you when you're busy making other plans, which I think is the truest thing
very
ever,
good.
really.
Very, very profound, yeah.
So I began upon this thing of doing films, and after I worked on Phenomena, I was asked to do, another 2 or 3 Italian films, and we'd go to Rome, sit with the director, and then take the dreaded VHS tape back to London and sit in my little bedroom in Clapham at that point. And write the music and send it back to them.
Okay, so that's how it was done.
Yeah.
I mean, and did you then have to eventually go and sit in edits and with the filmmakers and
Sometimes I would take the music back, and this is all pre-digital age. So they would sit with what's called a moviola, which would have like the 35mm print of the film running through it.
Yep.
They would lay out my music on 35mm magnetic tape.
The mag track, yeah.
And I'd sort of say, okay, well, it starts here, and they'd sort of put it there, and then we'd run the thing, and it's all set, listening to the music back through like a tiny little speaker. It all sounded so appalling. But I loved the way that the Italians actually had this visceral way of dealing with music. They would put the music on, be watching the picture, which was also only about sort of 4 inches big on this machine. And when it didn't work for them anymore, they'd just stop it and they'd cut it into another piece of music.
Oh, okay.
So if it didn't work, they just stuck another bit on. And it's a bit like, you know, what DJs do or what people do with scratching, kind of. It was just like propelled it through the film. I thought it was really sensible.
Is there a particular favourite from one of those Italian films that you'd like to pick to play?
Well, Stage Fright is a movie I did. The Italian title was Aquarius when it came out, and it was called Stage Fright here and in America. In France, it's called Bloody Bird. And other places it's called Deliria. It's quite confusing. Okay. But it's a really wonderful piece of Italian horror. It's very stylish looking, and I think rather like their religious art, it's sort of beautiful looking gore. You know, that's...
They have a kind of poetry to their horror, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just re-releasing that soundtrack, which is from 1989, on vinyl and CD. The CD's just arrived yesterday, so that's also available on my website. The vinyl will be in a couple of weeks. So
brilliant! And have you got something that you can?
I
let
can
us
play you
hear?
something from that. Now, you can have the very sort of gothic, 80s synthy sounding. You know, a lot of this it is 80s. You know, you don't understand. I'm at the mercy of those synthesizers. There's that kind of stuff, or there's the thrashy sort of post-punky, gothy stuff mixed with Pink Floyd that I was doing.
Oh, that sounds good.
You want some of that?
Yeah,
okay,
let's have some of that.
I'll find that one. Hang on.
Coming up any second. So I was just queuing this off the laptop. The best way to do it. We've got it all at master quality here. You see, no compressed files here. All proper stuff.
Here we go.
Here we go.